Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts,
Archlector George,
and Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
We continue our coverage of Best Served Cold, Joe's first standalone, and the next First Law entry after the original trilogy. On this episode, we review Land of Opportunity and The Bone Thief. So let's get started. As usual, we always like to thank you guys, the audience, for your support. We appreciate it. Keep it going. You guys have been great to interact with on Reddit, the Instagram, and we've gotten a couple more comments on some YouTube videos. Actually, it's really the Baez is an eater video that George tinfoils, all that stuff. So
that one gets the most comments though. That one's very popular.
Yeah, and I gotta respond to those guys and crush their dreams because Baez is not an eater, but okay. And want to apologize first and foremost for the episode we just released last week because my voice was trash. I was sick or coming off of being sick. I don't even know at this point. My voice was fucked up. So apologize if it made for difficult listening.
We were all kind of a bit sick and tired last week, which is not a good way to,
Mm-hmm.
We'll get better as we go on, won't we?
But you said we can't stop. You demanded more episodes. This is on you, the audience. You pushed us this far. You're breaking us.
Oh my god.
Well, we appreciate your forbearance, and
We've disclaimer: we've never gotten a message like that.
Yeah, no one said anything. You guys. Yeah, we haven't had any criticism about the sound yet, so that's good. Appreciate that.
It's good they just stopped listening, Jeff.
Yeah, basically. and I thought the episode, the content was good. I just know that my voice sucked. But anyway, let's get moving. We got 2 chapters to cover. One really short and one not too bad of a length. But before we get started on that, let's go ahead with our best meme of the week. Georgie boy, that's yours. Take it away.
So we've got user on Reddit _ Mr. Vulture. And this is a weird one, Jeff. Are you going to be able to contain your excitement?
Oh,
okay,
fine.
So it's that golden retriever being all sneaky. It's Wirren when Dow threatens everyone with a jewel in the circle. And it's just this cheeky smile. It's good. Wirren is just so fucking balls out. He's just yeah.
He's like, I'll do it.
You want to make an issue of it? Go up, and he just hefts his fucking big sword, and everyone's just
Ruh-roh.
Yeah. So thanks for that, Mr. Vulture on Reddit. That's a good one. I'm glad Jeff managed to contain his outburst this time.
Yeah,
You did good, Jeff.
Yeah. He can't beat Dow. Fuck that fucking.
Stop it, Jeff.
Okay. All right. So we now when we last left off, our girl Monza Mercato was unceremoniously dumped off a fucking ledge, yay high, off some tall as shit fortress called Fantasarmo, and landed amongst the kitchen waste, not far from the dead carcass of her. What we thought was her husband, but turns out to be her brother. Okay, so
he saved your life. He saved her life.
Probably the only time. Oh, does he now? I think maybe our minds might change the more we read this book. And so we left her gurgling shallow breaths in pieces. And now we begin the first part of the book, Best Served Cold, and the first part is called Talons. Then we get a little bit of seems like a backstory telling. It's Japo Marcato. This is, I guess, Monza and Benna's dad. And he had a farm. Can you guys clarify for me, where is their farm located? Is it near Talons?
Yeah, I think it's near Talons.
Yeah,
Okay.
it says it's in a borderland on the border with Etrusani, is it?
Yeah, I think
that's what it is.
One.
Okay. So, Japo is out here, tilling the land. it's just Japo, Manza, and Benna because the mother must have died at some point. And talking
Oh,
about
that's a
the
blunt way to put it. Fucking hell.
what I mean,
The mother must
You're
have passed.
just gonna breeze straight past that.
I mean, doesn't really say. Yeah, man, what the fuck? I mean, it's a single
But
dad and a
that's important. Exactly, that's important, isn't it? Monza's got that background, you know. That's something that we want to feel for it, you know.
Yeah, sure, but she don't even give a shit herself. It seems like. Anyway,
Mm.
yeah. So
People have had that criticism for Joe Abercrombie, where he doesn't mention people's mums as nearly as often as people's dads.
what?
Like
It's
that,
true,
I have seen
kind
that
of.
criticism.
Uh huh.
It's a silly criticism because Joe's a man and a father. I mean, damn.
Well, I mean,
It's what he relates to. It's what he knows, you know.
I know Logan talked about his dad, and Giselle talked about his parents, his dad, especially when he saw Baez. But
But
I
then you
know.
get to the new trilogy, and there's Finry. There is Artie. There is um what is the other one I'm thinking of? But Monza's even in that, you know.
Yeah, well, Glockta talks about his mommy.
Glockta talks about his mom.
Yeah, but he's got weird issues
and
though. He's got weird
Shy.
mommy issues.
Shy talks about her mom a lot.
Leo talks about his mom.
Yeah, with Finry.
Yeah.
Um,
And again, weird mummy issues.
I mean, even Savine, you know. So like, it's
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you talk about your mother, you got mommy issues. If you don't, you're a heartless bastard. You know what? You guys need to make up your goddamn mind. Fuck this. Joe, keep writing however you want to write. Fuck.
Oh, that's what we're here to do, Jeff.
Yep.
weird to take them apart.
We learned that he named Monza after his mother's name, and it was back in the days when the family pretended to have nobility or at nobility, which is interesting. I would like to know more about that little time period. You know, if we do like
It probably means something like, you know, they weren't technically nobility, but they were doing well enough to like have a last name.
I mean, they could even be like, you know, like distant cousins of some nobility or something that have just fallen on really hard times.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we get no clarification ever. Thanks, Joe.
Savage.
I didn't know this was the Bash Joe Abercrombie podcast, but all right. So basically, it's just like 2 quick pages. Japo, you know, he tills the land. Well, I guess they're cultivating wheat, I believe it is. Yeah, and
Yeah, I
so,
think
you know, Monza was the one that helped him the most because she was the oldest, the strongest. Ben has always been, you know, I guess slight, sickly, weak. And at some point, when Monza was 14, Japo, he got the fever, just says the fever. And then one night, he grabs Monza while he's in bed. He stares at her with bright eyes and he says, "Tomorrow, break the ground in the upper field, or the wheat won't rise in time. Plant all you can. It's not fair that should all fall to you, but your brother is so small. Watch over him." And then he was dead. So, youch. So we learn, and after he died, the next morning, Manza didn't bury him, just dragged his body to the river and rolled it in there. And not because she didn't love him or anything like that, but because she had no time to bury him, because by sunrise, she was breaking the ground in the upper field. So we get some insight as to the beginnings of Manza's mindset, life philosophy here, right?
Yeah.
It's her entire character, really.
Yeah.
She's right there in the field the next day. Bye, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it reinforces an idea that we'll see a lot of her psyche, which is the thing that people think is like everyone thinks that she's heartless and that she only cares about herself, and she presents herself as that. But if you actually know who Monza is, you know she's not like that.
So yeah, so that's a quick little spotlight into her past, her upbringing, and then and just to let you all know, if you haven't read this book yet, we will get more. So we start our first chapter read through. This is Land of Opportunity, and we have a return of a certain character who got his name because he was naked in the water and shivering. Our boy Shivers, Call Shivers. Oh, he is He just made a landfall in Talons. He was on a boat, a boatsy boat, a sloop, and he decided
Boatsy
to
boat.
go to Talons. Yeah, boatsy boat, and he decided to go to Talons. So he's trying. So we see that he's trying to look at things on this. Look at the sunny side of things. We see that he's heard that the sun shone all year round in Styria. Um,
He's
but
basically
he
been sold this fucking like package for a holiday, and he's gone
That's
there,
an
and it's just
American
it's a
dream.
bit shit, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
And it turns out it's a cloudiest day. It's a cloudy ass day. And he looks around the place, the Talon, especially the docks, and he's like, "This is kind of shady here. What? All right." It talks about like maybe some dilapidated buildings, but then like how the brick buildings line the entire bay. What else? That the cobbles are slimy.
Yeah, it's
And
not. It doesn't seem like a great place that he's getting to, is he?
no,
It's
no,
horrible, kind of fish smelling harbour, and yeah,
yeah,
but a
and
culture shock for Shivers there.
right. And the waterfront is crawling with people, right? But none of them look happy, none of them look healthy, and none of them look rich. And there's actually like a real stench around the place, like rotten salt fish, old corpses, coal smoke, and overflowing latrine pits, all mashed up together. And Shivers thinks to himself that if this was the home of the grand new man he was hoping to become, he had to admit he's just at least a little disappointed. And for a quick moment, he thought about, scrounging whatever he had left in terms of cash and just buying a return trip back to the north. But he was like, nope, mm-mm. He's done with war, done with leading men to death, done with killing, and everything that went along with it. He's here to be a better man. So looks like that's what he's here for. He's going to do the right thing, and this is where he was going to do it, which is Talons. So he puts on his best little shit, his like the face that's like, I'm just gonna eat this bowl of shit and I'm just gonna smile through it. And
I was just gonna say, like, smile through the pain.
yeah.
That old northern endurance.
Oh right. Yeah, you just grin your teeth and bear it, right?
Yeah, for good or
So
ill.
so he smiles at one of the sailors, that's on the boat with him, and he's like, well, I got it. This is my stop or whatever. Here I go. And the guys just go, uh-huh. And so by here we learned that Shivers has learned a smattering of Styrian, right? Not a lot so far, I don't think, but enough to kind of get by. He's walking down the docks, and somebody bars right into him, near knocked him over. Shivers, he apologized. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there, my friend. And the guy didn't even turn around. And Shivers is like, motherfucker. He's like, all right, I'm fine. Shivers does have a lot of pride still, but he's like, it's okay. I didn't go through all these battles and everything I've gone through in the north just to lose my shit over being shouldered, right?
Yeah.
But he thought back to what his brother would have told him, apparently, that to let go of it, that you're here to be looking on the sunny side of things, like we mentioned earlier. So he walks away from the docks, goes down a big wide road and into the city, and he he sees a big statue of a frowning man pointing off to nowhere. Shivers didn't have a clue who he was meant to be, but he looked pretty damn pleased with himself. I feel like we know exactly who this is.
Well, it probably is Orso. He's like all dramatic, pointing off, looking all like, you can imagine he made himself look all like regal. But there's a chance it could be somebody else. Like, it could be an old ruler from the time before. You never know.
Boo.
I mean, I feel like also is the kind of person that would tear everybody's statues down when they take over. Like, no, they're all mine.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. And he would be like, I need more of mine.
And I feel like Orso would be the kind of guy to put a statue there and point as to like tell people to, this is the direction you want to go. This is the right way.
We know from his appearance in Last Argument of Kings that he's very regal and commanding. So it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? He's very
yeah, but and don't forget the previous.
What do we
chapter.
say? What do you say these days? An image based person.
Yeah, and don't forget in the previous chapter we just read, they were building statues everywhere around Fontesarmo of him doing different, poses.
That's true. That's true. He is very much he understands what his image is, how important his image is.
Yeah, Orso the wise, Orso the fair. Anyway, but then Shivers smells some food. He smells some cooking, and he's like, oh snaps! And then he goes over to this like a street vendor, and it looks like they have sticks of meat, like a kebab, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, can I have one of them?"
He's
And
like, fair food, yay.
yay! And then when he says when the cook told him the price, he near choked on his tongue. We would have gotten him a whole sheep in the north, maybe even a pair for breeding.
Yes, I too have been to London.
The meat was half fat and the rest gristles. Like, ugh. But I mean, hey,
That's why you like that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because it's bad for you.
The difference is these days it's all blended up, all the meat and the gristle, so it's all like one tasty amalgamation.
Yeah. So he's still chewing on this thing, right? And then he's the rain's starting up, starting to get like stronger, and he's looking around. He comes up to like a riverbank, and he's like wondering which way to go because he can see that the city goes on for like a long while. It's a big city, bigger than anything he's probably no, he's been in Adua, but compared to the north, Talon's is huge, and another shoulder catches him while he's trying to get his bearing straight. Shoulder, somebody else like barges into him, and this time he whipped around like snarling, looking for.
Trying to fight. He's like, "Where's he at?" He's going into fight. He's going into fight or flight mode, and his. But to be fair, like if you're in the north, there's probably already more people there than he's used to, anyways, except for
Yeah.
Adua, and now he's like, he's used to being surrounded by enemies, getting scared of the night, and he does what probably anybody would do: is look for, I'm gonna fucking kill him.
Right, but he doesn't get that crazy just yet. He turns around but doesn't see a guy. Then he kind of like takes a breath and he's like, "All right, hold on. Wasn't that long ago that I let the Bloody Nine go free? The man that killed my brother, I passed up the chance for revenge because I just wanted to be a better man. So he was like, it's fine, I could do it. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. He puts a smile on his face. He's fine, and then he keeps walking. He goes onto a bridge, and then something brushed against his arm. Next thing he knows, he's grabbed somebody by the neck and is bending him backwards over the railing, the parapet of the bridge. And he's like, "Knock me, you bastard! I'll cut your fucking eyes out," in Northern. And once Shivers kind of comes to, he notices that this is a shorter guy, smaller guy, and he looks really, really tiny. And he's like, well, not really tiny. He's a head shorter than Shivers, and maybe not more than half his weight. And Shivers kind of realizes that, like, oh, wait a minute, he probably barely even touched him. So he already lost the shit immediately after the third time. So he goes, "Oh, sorry, friend," in Styrian, and he was like, "I'm real sorry. It's just a little, mistake. Do you want some of the meat here?" And the guy just kind of stares at it, and then he just runs away. And Shivers goes, "Okay."
Good start.
Yeah, and it says, the last line of the chapter is, "Seemed being a better man might be harder work than he thought." And that's the end of the chapter. Boys, how would you rate this?
I mean, it's not anything special, is it? It's just
Right.
kind of a
Right.
intro to Shivers getting there, arriving. We already know Shivers. We know what kind of person he is.
Mhm.
But to get inside his head for the first time after seeing him as a kind of tertiary character is quite interesting.
Yeah, it kind of.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go finish your thought, George.
No. I'm finished now. Go.
When it comes to Shivers too, like it's kind of hard to get a reading on his character. He didn't really feel like a character in the last book. He's kind of like there, and like he's a person, and he's got this thing with the Bloody Nine. Where he's like, "Oh, you killed my brother," but that's it. Like we don't really know how he actually operates, other than that he is not trying to be a better person. So he doesn't really know anything else though either.
True. He doesn't know anything else.
Yeah, so I reckon 4. Because I do like his characterization, and I do like his interactions when he's going on the bridge and all these people are barging into him, and he's just like slowly getting more and more frustrated, like 5 minutes off the boat. It's so funny.
Okay. You're giving it a 4, Harrison?
I think I'm just gonna give it a 2.
Yo, I was thinking the same thing.
I don't enjoy this too much. It's not like it's not like with Manda's chapters, where you find yourself, oh my god, and you reread it and you're like, that's incredible. I don't know how you wove that in there. There's really not much to go off of here. This is just kind of introducing a new character, very basic, bare bones. So
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna, basically it's like, okay, we're reintroducing Shivers, but into a new location, and this is just setting up the stage. Like, okay, he's here now, and this is what his mindset is, that he's gonna try to be a better man going forward, and it's not gonna be as easy as as maybe he thought it would be, but because of that, and just like it's not a lot, we didn't get so
Yeah.
much like I don't know, like I don't know,
We get mentions of why he's here. Like he
yeah,
just let Logan go for killing his brother. Like
yeah, yeah,
just his basic motivations, and that's
yeah.
that's that's enough, I think.
No, of course, of course. I mean, I was gonna give it a 1 out of 9 fingers, but the being shouldered 3 times in a row, that little bit of humor bumped it up to a 2.
That's true.
I will say, do we have an idea as to the how much time has passed since he let Logan go to his exodus to Styria? Because I don't think it was immediately after that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dow assumes. Well, never mind. I'm not gonna say that. I will say some time has passed. I would say maybe a year, maybe 6 months. What do you guys think? Because like you have to think
Um,
about the distance, right? Because
no,
Carmen's
no,
not near port.
I see what you're saying because
Yeah. Oh,
I
for
always
it.
assume that he can't have been in Talons for whenever we see here soon the rest of the story. I don't think he could have been in Talons for more than no more than a year. Not with what I think he even says next time we see him it's been like several months. But
No, no.
if we
I
go off
I
of
mean, go ahead.
like I'm saying that to say we know that Best Served Cold takes place 3-4 years, maybe 4 or 5 at most after Last Argument of Kings um because of Giselle. So
Yeah, because of the way the timeline works, and spoilers for later. But
Mhm.
it's interesting to think that Shiv has probably got bored, kind of sitting around. There's no war anymore in the north.
yeah.
He's probably just doing kind of errands for the Dogman. So it kind of makes sense that he's been told this story of, oh, you can go to this place where you can make loads of money and there's loads of opportunities, and then he gets there and it's just like, oh.
Yeah. Also, I'm sure Shivers was wasted when he was having that conversation. Let me tell you though, bro, I went to this place one time. So, good job on the scores, gentlemen.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So let's go ahead and move on to our character spot, boys. What do you guys think it should be?
Well, it's a very short-lived character, especially in kind of the prose, which is he has mentioned this exactly one time. It's a Japo Makato.
Japo.
Jeppo is he's one of those characters that he has so little impact that you think right here on the surface, but as we'll see, and this isn't a spoiler at all, but Monza's father has quite the impact on her, and not in a way that is common for Joe. And it's very subtle, and it's very much like how does your parents affect you kind of thing, and less so of a character trait.
Mhm.
And it's done really well, and that's all because of this one character who is very unique in how Joe his impact. So
Mhm.
he's it's pretty cool that Joe is able to make a character like this. And also, fun fact, obviously, there's a character later on named Japo. It's it's just kind of
Spoiler.
so it's cool that it's impressive. You say, "Oh, there's this guy here," but the more you look back, connected with everything else in the story overall, you realize how important this man really was to Monzo. So
I mean, absolutely. I mean, he kind of influences Monza's entire kind of mindset going forward. She's just like, no, you've got to do what has to be done. If I don't farm these crops, if I don't till this land now, then we're going to starve later.
yeah,
Like that
Mhm.
hard brutality and realism of life is just drilled into her from the get go.
Yeah, yeah, they've led a rough life. Monza's always been there though to help her dad provide, and then her dad is taken away from her at a very young age. That's huge imprint because on one hand she probably she remembers him or has viewed him as like uh, the strong caregiver, right? But
yeah.
he gets taken away by a measly fever, so there's probably
A
you know
measly fever.
Well, it's a fever. I mean, who dies from a fever? I'm just kidding.
I've just had a fever and I didn't die, but I felt like I was gonna.
He almost died. You're trying to
I'm
make fun of George. He
messing,
almost died. Oh my god.
I'm messing around. I'm just saying, it's to use a parent at that young age, and then also she also was a cognizant and coherent by the time Benna was born, where her mom died in childbirth. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like back to back, not back to back, but two huge losses for a young child.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we'll see more of that later on.
All I'm saying is Japo kind of fucked up. He should have taken some emergency. He could have, some vitamin C's. He just could have.
Could he?
It's like shame him for being sick.
Yeah, shame him for not taking his damn medicine.
Oh,
Fuck,
what an American you are, Jeffrey. You're like, he still should have been at work.
licking orange peel or something, bro. Come on.
The oranges ever mentioned in the first law? I don't think they are.
I don't know.
An apple is, oddly.
There's an apples, but no oranges.
An apple.
What a horrible world. Truly grimdark.
It's truly why I would never want to live there. The lack of oranges.
That's why. Right. Okay. Gotcha. Not the
Hashtag bring back oranges. Hashtag Joe has a vendetta against oranges. We have to cancel him.
Okay. So it's that, and not the fact that the leading decor and interior design is decapitated heads. Okay. Cool. All right. But all right then. That's a nice little character spot for our boy Japo Mercato, who we will never ever see or talk about again. I don't think
we'll talk about him. But
we might.
We won't see him again. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So let's move on to our second chapter read through, which is the Bone Thief. Dun, dun, dun. So when her eyes opened, she saw bones. It's Monza. Our girl is alive. She is alive.
Surprise,
Okay.
surprise. The protagonist survived.
Yeah. Right. So when she wakes up, she's looking around. She's in this room, and she sees that there's a lot of bones decorating, like I just mentioned about interior design in the first law. Decorating
Lord
the
of
room.
Bones.
And there's a mantelpiece, and on top of the mantelpiece, that there's a lot of skulls, and in her mind's eye, they're just grinning emptily at her. And she's like, "Okay, what?" And she tries to get up, but she can't because she's very stiff, and she's obviously in a lot of pain. And the pain was so sudden that she almost pukes. The room is kind of dark. She's kind of like, now she's breathing, fast. She's nervous. She's scared. She's like, "Where the fuck am I?" And she's like, she sees a table not far from her, and and this table has a tray on it, and on this tray there's an arrangement of instruments, if we shall say, pliers, needles, scissors, saws, knives, blades.
Did anybody else think that perchance that she got captured by Galacta when you first read this? Did anybody else think that?
No.
I know the bones are weird, but when I heard the instruments, I'm like, instruments? Is that my boy Galacta? I swear to God, the first time I read it, my brain just reacted.
No, I don't remember what I just remember, like, wait a minute, she's in pain, and she's not even just in pain, she's like a mangled mess, and she just sees like what surgeons' instruments. Like, I was like, oh, medical stuff, somebody's probably trying to heal her. I didn't think that. I don't remember thinking it could have been Galacta or an Inquisitor. George?
I can't hear any instruments in anything other than a lisp. Instruments.
I think that answers the question. Quite definitely.
But I don't really remember what I thought the first time I read it. To be honest, it was like 10 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. So she calls out for Benna, or at least she tries to, right? She basically has no vocal cords. Her tongue, her gums, her throat, everything is all raw. Again, she tried to move again, this time trying just to lift her head, and barely could do it. And all that effort just sent more pain down her entire body. And then that pain brought fear with it. And then the fear brought more pain. It's just kind of like this little vicious cycle. And then she hears a click click, and she's like, huh? And she realizes someone's putting a key into a lock of a door, and she goes, uh-oh. And now she's trying to like squirm, but she can't really move. She's in so much pain, right? Her body's all fucked up. A door opens and then closes shut. Then she hears footsteps, and then she sees this monstrous great shadow, and she's freaking the fuck out. But then
She's totally
But-
tripping. But if I couldn't move and I was completely like mangled, I would be freaking out too, because it's like I'd rather be dead at that point.
Yep.
Yeah, I
exactly.
mean, you're so totally disorientated when you wake up, and especially for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, we don't know.
We'll find out later, but you know.
Yeah. And so a figure comes through the doorway, and just walked right past her and to a cupboard, and it's just a regular man, average height, short, fair hair. That whole giant shadow thing was because he had like a sack over his shoulder, and he's like humming to himself as he's like emptying the bag and he's putting things in its proper place. He has an eye for details. He's just he's making sure everything is nice and perfect as he's setting it on either shelves or in the cupboard or whatever. And Mons is able to describe his face for us. He has a pale, lean face, not old but deeply lined with harsh cheekbones and eyes hungry, bright, and bruised sockets. He had took off his coat, put it on a hook, was brushing it, turns around, and I guess they locked eyes, and he just like stops moving. He's like, "What the fuck?" And then they stare for each other. They stare at each other for a little bit, and then he goes, "Oh, you're awake." And then she tries to say like, "Who are you?" And then he's like, "My name's not important." And we found out that he has a trace of a Union accent, so interesting. It says that he's a student of the physical sciences.
It's an inquisitor.
And then she asked him, is he a healer? And he goes, among other things, yeah. Well, as you can see, I'm an enthusiast, mainly for bones, which is why I'm so happy.
He's the Adeptus, Skeletus, Adeptus Skeletus. Exactly, Chef.
or skeletal, or whatever.
I am the Adeptus Skeletal. I study bones. That's why they keep at the university. They didn't realize the potential of bones.
They call me the Bone Man.
Somebody called me a slur once, the bone thief, and I don't really like that.
Why would they? Why would somebody call you that?
Not me. I'm
Because I
pretending to
take people's bones.
Oh,
Oh my god.
so he goes,
Concentrate, Jeffrey. I don't
Why
think
me-
about
I-
us laughing in the background.
stop laughing in the background. Then, he says, that he's happy that she fell into his life. Quick, funny joke. And then she asks him, "How did she get here?" And then he says, that he needs bodies for his work, right? And sometimes they're found where he found her. But he's never found one still alive before, so there you go. She's a spectacularly lucky woman, and
Which she is. Come on.
Yeah, she is incredibly lucky. Like, how the fuck do you not die from that? But whatever.
Well,
I mean,
because
that's what,
Benna
like,
Mikado saved her
multiple-
life.
But it's multiple stab wounds, a partial choking, and then being thrown off maybe like a 50-foot fucking drop.
Well, actually, it's
Yeah.
one stab wound, not necessarily a choking, but like death by like
A partial choking then.
Yeah, like garrote.
It doesn't matter. She just slid down a mountain.
Right. No, exactly that too. But she, as she asked him like, "Where's her brother? Where's Benna?" And he's like, "Who? What? Who's Benna?" And then she kind of like has a flashback as to like the what happened in Duke Orso's room, and then she's she kind of like screams. She it all comes back to her, and she's in a lot of grief, and she's angry, and then he tells her like anger solves nothing. And he goes, "Listen, look, I get that you're in some pain. I imagine you're in some pain. I would try to get used to it because I feel like pain is going to be around for a long time for you."
That's a lovely, comforting words when you first wake up. He's got amazing bedside manner.
Yep. And then he goes and grabs a pipe, and he tells her that this is going to help. And she looks at it, and she tells. So we learned that it's husk, and husk is
It's weed. It's weed, audience. It's weed.
No, it's
No,
not. It's
no,
definitely
no.
not.
It's
It's
like
definitely
it's
more
like
heroin, right?
heroin, opium. Yeah.
Oh my god, guys!
This is how you know Harrison don't do drugs.
I'm trying to keep it PG, guys. Jesus.
Oh, okay. Sure. This is what you want to keep it PG about. This. Okay, it's funny. um so and she doesn't she thinks like it's it's a it's a thing for the weak, it's a thing for the cowardly, but she took one hit and she's like, oh well,
She's like,
this is great stuff.
damn.
Yeah, because it's like it's a pain reliever in a way. It's a narcotic. So
It's a drug, so it
It-
makes you not feel things or
Yep.
feel things.
and she keeps taking like some hits, and so we can learn that she's really liking this husk. And then at some point she wakes back up, right? And her eyes kind of bring him into focus again, and he said that he was getting worried that he had never expected her to wake at all, from the I guess when he found her, but if she died now it would be a shame. And then her mind's still not all there though, so she calls out for Benna again, but she's also in pain. And then he goes, well, I know it seems like you're still sore, but maybe this will raise your spirits. All your stitches are out. Yay!
Yay!
She's like, what? And then she goes, how long did I sleep? And I guess it's asking from the last time she was awake. He said a few hours. And then she goes, before that. And he goes, just over 12 weeks. Like, wow.
Which is a long time, right?
Uh.
She's been in a coma, basically.
Yeah. She's in a coma. And I guess he was force feeding her stuff. But okay. So
Yeah, there was definitely some weird shit going on.
yeah, I don't know.
Who is
But,
this freak?
What was that?
I said, who is this freak?
We will find out. I think maybe not. So he goes, it's a fine time for new beginnings because you slept through the autumn and into winter, and the new year is going to come soon, and you will have been nothing short of miraculous. Your injuries, well, they were, they were quite something. I feel like you're going to be pleased with my work because I am. And he's all happy. He puts he props her head he props her head up with the pillow, and then he cuts through he has like three leather brackets, like straps across her body, and he says it was for her protection, which makes sense. Like if she's sleeping, you don't want to roll off while she's like trying to recover.
Mhm.
So he cuts the straps off, and then he's like, we don't want you to break anything else now, would we? And this guy, his sense of humor is
He's
peculiar.
hilarious.
Yeah, he's great. And then he grabs, because Monza was covered with a blanket, so he pinches it, he grabs it, and then he kind of like whips it away, like those people that do that tabletop trick, And then she looks at her body and she cannot recognize it. Do you guys want to talk about what we see here with her body?
Yeah, I mean, there's like multiple surgery marks. Everything's all pale and sickly and a bit jaundiced, maybe like a bit yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, ugh, what the fuck? And she
Mhm.
just, quite rightfully, starts freaking the fuck out.
Right, because she's lost a lot of weight, right?
Mhm.
What else? There's a lot of scars, and yeah, I guess they're just scars. Right? Like even when you take the stitches out, there's still scars.
Yeah, of course.
What else? What else are there? There's some parts of her body just look like weird, right?
Oh,
She's
yeah.
like
wait,
disproportionate now.
Yeah,
She's
disproportionate. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, everything's she's just been stitched back together. I mean, there are records of people that have survived after having every single bone in their body broken, but you know,
Mhm.
they're not very common, and they're never the same.
No. And then this guy, this bone thief guy, he's like, yeah, impressive, right? And then he tells us basically what was wrong with her, right? He says that the ribs here and the breastbone were quite shattered, so he had to make incisions to repair them to get to them, I guess, and then to work on the lung. So he tried to keep the cutting to the minimum, but depending on the damage, he really couldn't. He says he's especially pleased with the left hip, that the thigh bone there unfortunately broke into itself, so so it shortened the leg by a fraction, but her other shin was shattered, so he was able to remove the tiniest section of bone to make up the difference. So basically, one knee is slightly higher than the other, and she won't be able to stand quite so tall. But it's considering everything, it's set now. Uh, and then he says everything's quite set. The screws are removed, so he's had installed some screws. It seemed like.
Screws is never anything that you want to hear when it comes to your
Yeah.
own bone.
Nope. And then he makes like he starts joking a little bit. He says, "If the doubters at the academy could see this now, they wouldn't be laughing. If my old master could see this, even he," which is interesting. And then she kind of goes like she moans a little bit, and she looks at her right hand, or as described here, the trembling mockery of a hand dangled from the end of her arm. So the palm was bent, shrunken, a great ugly scar where Gaba's wire had cut into the side. The fingers were crooked as tree roots, squashed together, the little one sticking out at a strange angle. And she tried to make a fist, and it was not happening. But there was a lot of pain. And then he tells her that that was the best he could do with her hand because of the small bones, and that the tendons in her little finger were quite severed. Obviously it's a shock, but the marks are gonna fade some kind, a little bit. But really, I mean, look, considering the fall, like, be happy.
Yeah, it's kind of strange too. Like, he's like proud of his work, and it is impressive that he was able to like basically save her life. But also, he's super creepy and weird, and like, ooh, look, I did this and that and the other thing, but he like didn't do it. Like he got her, but he didn't really like put her back the way she was. I don't know. It's just like
he did the best he could.
I know. What I
considering.
mean is like it's weird because the entire interaction makes you uncomfortable, but also you totally understand. So it's just a weird scenario.
Yeah, and, he might be a bit of a fucking creep, but he's not like outwardly malevolent at any point. It's just like kind of helping you out.
That's true.
Even when he's like, "Oh yeah, there's coins in your head now." By the way,
We didn't get there yet, but
yeah, but yeah.
So then, he gives her some of the another husk. Gives her the pipe of husk again. She,
I've got to have another dose, man. I just need it.
I need my snack.
One
I need
more.
smack, man. And then she passes out, I guess. And then then it's a bit of a jump. A little bit, some time has passed, and then he's here feeding her tiny pieces of bread, so she could slowly acclimate herself to eating solid food again, because she had been, he had fed her nothing but milk and sugar water since he's gotten her. So, wow. And the bread, even though it's tiny pieces, it gets stuck in her throat. She's coughing around it because it's a lot of pain. She feels some pain in the stab wound that faithful Carpi had given her. And then he gave her some water as well. And as he's cradling her head, she feels his fingers on her skull. And she's like, something's off there. Like, it's like lumpy. And then he goes, yeah, so I had to remove some pieces of your skull. And so I replaced them with coins. And she's like, what? And then,
Well, it makes sense because he explains. He's like, well, gold doesn't tarnish, it doesn't degrade, and it's actually antibacterial, technically, very slightly.
and then, he couldn't leave her brains exposed. So, he had to, put some coins in there, I guess. And but her scalp is going to be a little lumpy, but her hair is going to grow back. And he says, "Such beautiful, beautiful hair you have, black as midnight." And that was said in the previous chapter, right? So
Yeah, you said there like a curtain of midnight.
And then he says, and then he lets her head fall gently back and everything, almost like a caress. And he says, "Normally I'm a taciturn man. Too much time."
Taciturn.
Taciturn, sorry.
God
Normally
damn
I'm.
it, Jeffrey. I'm joking. I'm fucking with you. It's impossible to. You can't get the pronunciation from English words just from the spelling, so it's fine.
It's okay. It's okay. I've seen this word before. I've said it. I said it wrong. Sorry. So he said, "Normally I'm a taciturn man. Too much time spent alone, maybe. But I find that you bring out the best in me." And the mother of my children is the same. You remind me of her in a way. Oh, isn't that sweet? If only
He's
we
a
can.
family man.
Yeah, if only we can meet her. So, she starts to like ask him like, "Hey, can I?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course." And he gives her the husk again. It's like, oh boy, she's full on addicted now. And then,
I mean, she's still in absolutely massive pain at this point.
yeah.
You can't blame her. Would you?
No.
I wouldn't.
No,
Yeah,
of course
fuck it.
No,
Give me the
she's an
fucking-
addict.
yeah,
All
give it to
addicts.
me.
Ah, no forgiveness.
Every time we're in the hospital, I'm like, can have some painkillers.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then another bit of a time jump. Maybe it's a couple days. We don't know really, but he's telling her to close it. We don't know what, but then we realize, oh, he's telling her to close her fist, her right hand, and she's saying that it won't close. And he tells her like, look, you've been here for weeks now, and I did not fix you just so you could smoke this husk and do absolutely nothing. Try harder. And then she tells him, do you want to fucking try? He's like, oh, okay, no problem. And he just closes his hand around her hand and just makes the fist for her. And man, was her she was in pain because she could hear like the crunching fist and her
Yeah.
eyes bulged from her head and she can't even scream. Her breath is coming out too fast.
This is physiotherapy to the extreme, right? Like, if you've ever broken a bone or done a really serious physical injury, you know how hard it is. Like, it just feels like it's dead.
Yeah.
And having that happen to your entire body, that just must be beyond explanation.
Absolutely. And he tells her, he's like, he doubts that she understands how much he's helping her. And he squeezes tighter and tighter. Jesus Christ. And he's like, one cannot grow without pain. You can't improve without it. Suffering drives us to achieve great things. And then he lets go, and she sags back, and she watches her fingers kind of like slowly come halfway open. And she's just like, ah, ah. But she wanted to kill him because she's like angry, but she needs him obviously. And then he tells her, okay, now close your hands, or I must do it for you. And she goes, motherfucker. And so she finally just slowly gets to do it on her own, with so much, all this, it's a strenuous activity for her. And then he goes, yeah, see, was that so hard? And you don't need to thank me, as he gives her the husk pipe again. And then, we get another time jump, and I guess we get in the middle of a conversation where I guess he's telling her to get ready to start walking. We'll see if you can take the weight. It seems like he's about to say, but then she squeals, and her knees buckled, and she fell forward. And he goes, "What the fuck? Still, you can't walk?" He's like, "You should be able to walk. Maybe there's a fragment within one of your joints, like a." And then he asks her like, "Where does it hurt?" She goes, "Everywhere." He's like, "I hope this is not just you being stubborn." All right, because I don't want to have to necessarily open your legs open again.
Which is an uncomfortable way of saying that.
Right. And then he goes, all right, look, he puts her back on the bench and he's like, all right, I have to go for a while. And then she clutches at him. She's like, will you be back soon? He's like, yes, very soon. Don't you worry. And then he leaves, locks the door. He gets out. Then we find out she was, I guess, putting on an act somewhat, maybe. She says, son of a fucking whore. But she swings her legs down and she stands on her own 2 feet, and it hurt a lot, but it felt good. She walks over to the drawer where the husk is. She looks at it, but then she closes it back. She's like, no, fuck that. And then she walks back to the bench. And then she's trying to, so basically she's walking across the room, back and forth to gain her strength again.
Yeah,
So that's
and
what-
this is kind of a carry on from the theme of Logan's always appear weaker than you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She doesn't want whoever's holding, the bone thief, whatever his name is, whatever we're calling him,
Bone
Dr.
Thief.
Bones, I think.
Dr. Bones.
Dr. Thief.
Dr. Thief.
Mr. Dr. Thief. Stupid.
Well, go ahead, George, you were saying?
Oh, I've forgotten now. Fuck.
Well, that you're saying it's a continuation of the theme of Logan's, being always trying to appear
Yeah,
weaker than you really are.
because she doesn't want him to know that
Mhm.
she can actually do all these things. She can actually walk around and all this, because she kind of feels imprisoned there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. It's good,
Yeah.
and I love how sneaky all of Joe's characters are. They're all brilliant.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So then we get another bit of a time jump, and she's looking at a mirror now, and the mirror has a crack in it already, but she wished the mirror was even more broken. And then we get like she hears Benna's voice saying the nice things he was saying in the previous chapter. Your hair is like a curtain of midnight, and shaved off down the left side of her head, grown back to a scabby stubble. The rest hung lank, tangled, and greasy as old seaweed. Okay. Your eyes gleam like piercing sapphires beyond price. Yellow, bloodshot, lashes gummed to clumps, rimmed red, raw, and sockets purple, black with pain. Okay. Lips like rose petals, cracked.
Let's just cut it there and just say she's not looking her best, eh?
All right, fine. I was trying to emphasize it, but she's not looking good. She's
But
really not looking.
this is a good parallel as well, isn't it? He draws that exact same comparison with the first three things that are mentioned, like you said, by Berner. And it's just it's such a good image, isn't it? It's such a good way of drawing how fucking broken she is now. But she's still going.
And he tells her that she looks well, the Mr. Dr. Bone Thief, and she remembers Benna saying the very goddess of war, and she says that she looks a fucking carnival curiosity, which is like but it is better than what she must have looked when he found her, though, right? And so he tells her that he's got to leave her for the time being, but he will be back as he always is. Continue working the hand, but keep your strength. He's gonna cut into her legs to figure out why she's still having difficulty standing, right?
Which means she's gonna just be crippled again and be stuck.
Well, we don't know that, but at least for some time she probably would be, right? So she's like, "Yeah, sounds good." He leaves. She counts to 10 once she's done hearing. If she hears the footsteps, trail away, and then she gets off the bench. She takes some needles, a knife. She goes to the cupboard. She takes the pipe and the husk, and she puts it in some trousers that she has that are hanging from her hip bones because she's so skinny now. What else? She goes in down the hall, and then she takes her old boots from under a bed in a bedroom. She puts the boots on. She goes back out into the corridor, and she gets to the front door, and she's like, all right. And she's trying to work this lock, and then she finally does. It's been a while, and she has like non-functioning right hand almost, but the lock wasn't that good anyway, so she's able to open the door. Now she's out. She's out into the real world. We assume she's still in Talon somewhere, correct? Because she can't have been far if this guy was able to carry her to his humble abode. And,
well, we don't know. We don't know about that. We don't know how strong this guy is.
Yeah, true. I mean, he does steal bones after all. And
yes, that is usually a thing that is lent to strength, right?
Right. Yeah, bones. And so she goes out into the night. It's a chilly, rainy night, and there's like there's some strong winds here, but she's in the woods if I'm not mistaken still though, and she's walking up a slope. Each step is just it's a tough ordeal for her, and she tells herself just one more step, and she at some point she just kind of fell right onto the ground, and as she fell, her mind just like rifles past these memories. She thinks about her father pushing the plow a long time ago. And what I guess her father said was, "What would I do without you?" Then she remembers kneeling beside Casca, waiting for an ambush, and then hearing his voice saying, "You have a devil in you." And then she kept going, all these memories that she needed to keep her going, right? And then
oh, that's interesting. In what way do you think it's keeping her going?
The memories.
I know, but why do you think it's pushing her? Or like, what do you think she's being motivated by when she's thinking of these memories?
Well, the ones that I would say is like, okay, Japo saying, "What would I do without you?" and Casca saying, "You have a devil in you." That she's reminding herself that she's capable. She has a devil in her. She can push herself to lengths beyond what the average person would do. Beyond what an average 14-year-old girl would do on the farm. Beyond I don't even know how old she is when she's kneeling beside Casca in her memory, but we don't hear about women mercenaries in general. So always pushing herself more than others.
Okay.
I mean,
Interesting.
that can be an absolutely powerful motivator, can't it? Just wanting to get revenge. I mean, people, you talk about revenge, everybody talks about revenge, how it's all this hollow, like, it just doesn't, it won't satisfy, but it is the most powerful motivator for
Especially,
actual change.
yeah, especially when the last memory she has is Orso saying, "Off the terrace and let us be done." That, you know. Well, what were you gonna, Harrison? Did you have thoughts?
Yeah, well, my thought was kind of like this is incredible scene, especially whenever Pacey narrates it. He does all the different voices and stuff. You really feel like you're inside Monza's head. These memories are poignant to her, but like I just love how she changes. Like it goes from being like lost to reassuring to her, remembering who she is and like, what would I do, Monza, what would I do without you? That kind of that idea being motivating at the same time her hating it and that translating over to the hatred because it's always the same story with it, and we'll get more details on that later. But it's just so well crafted, especially when you reread it and realize how integral this moment is to her and like how her brain works. To this level, we don't get that with a lot of people, and sometimes it's hard to understand. But like how she motivates herself is so key in this book. She does it often, and it's not a very good way of her doing it. She does not have positive ways of motivating herself, but it works.
Definitely not healthy. But what is healthy at that point, you know?
Yeah.
Who needs it?
What? Come on. Who needs an avocado toast? Like, who needs to be healthy? Come on. No.
Do you reckon they have avocados in the circle of the world?
Well, if they did, Monza's not eating that. I'll tell you that right now. She ain't no pansy. Anyway, and then she kind of she sits against a tree trunk she sees, and then she is fumbling at the belt buckle with just her one hand. Her left hand now is her good hand, but obviously we know that she's right-handed, or at least we get the sense she's right-handed. Took her a long time, and then she finally was able to get her pants off, her trousers off, and she needs to go to the bathroom, but it's hard because she feels her bladder is like knotted up, and so it's taking some time. She's she's cursing at herself like, just fucking go, just go, and then finally just piss spattering into the mud. Okay, thanks, Joe.
And this is a recurring theme for Jeff as well. Jeff has a bit of an obsession with pissing.
What?
Look, think about it.
It's
right?
true. You often talk about how
talks
much
about pissing the first time we
wait, Jeff or Joe?
Joe.
You said Jeff.
No, I said Joe.
No, you said Jeff.
Harrison.
I'm sorry, George, but you did in fact say Jeff, and that's why I was going to add on. I was interrupting you because I thought you were making a joke. I didn't realize you were actually trying to. It's all good.
I was like, yo, I don't got no fetish.
Again, I'm sorry, Jeff. I didn't mean to slander you like that.
I was gonna join in. I immediately was like, yeah, it's true. Jeff does do that.
What? Son of a bitch.
All right, this is a good blooper, but I'll start again.
You don't have to, but go ahead.
Because Joe does have a fucking obsession with just pissing, doesn't he? He absolutely does. Every single character, or pissing or shitting, actually, but we'll get there. But yeah, Joe loves a good piss scene. He enjoys somebody having trouble having a piss.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we should at some point do some kind of montage thing when we're like with like Wheel of Fortune, like
the piss montage.
Yeah, the piss montage. We got ranges of like fucking shit falling in the mud, pissing all of yourself to Krog. It like goes all quiet. Krog going,
Are you pissing right now? Yeah.
Oh.
I would do. This is why I wish we could translate this over to a TV show, because we could make edits of everybody pissing with music that fits it just perfectly. It would be incredible.
Oh God. Okay. Well, after she's finished pissing, she hikes her trousers back up, and then she gets ready to walk, and then one foot kind of slipped out from underneath her, and she just fell, right? And she laid in the in the rain, in the mud, and she just starts crying, and I don't blame her. You know, her sobs, they racked her. She doesn't remember the last time she cried, and maybe never actually. And you know, because she
Well,
says
she
that
didn't cry when her dad died.
right, that's true, she didn't. And she says that Bennett had done the weeping for the both of them, and now she's just there and torturing herself over everything that she's lost. She thinks about everything, especially regarding Benna. You know how everything good in her is dead with him. That the way they made each other laugh, the understanding that comes from a life together is gone. That he'd been home, family, friend, and more, him, all killed at once. uh, all snuffed out carelessly as a cheap candle. So she's just just really
Very
ruminating over
regretful of it.
regretful, but just like just all she's just in pain. She's suffering right now, not just physically, but emotionally on a deep level. And everything that she tells herself that everything she worked for, hoped for, dreamed of is dead. So she, at some point she is able to compose herself a little bit. She puts her trousers back on, a couple more sobs, and then that's it. The life that she had was gone. The woman she was is gone, and what they broken could never be mended. But there's no point about crying about it now. So she kneels in the mud, and she's just silent for a minute. She's like, her brother wasn't just dead; he'd been murdered, slaughtered like an animal. And then she made a fist with the broken hand, right? And then
Mhm.
she declares out loud that she'll kill them, and she makes herself think of their faces, and we're talking about Gaba, the fat hog in the shadows. Remember what he said? A waste of decent flesh.
Wasted decent flesh.
Jesus Christ. Then
Good.
she thinks about Malthus, looking down at Benna's corpse, inconvenienced. Faithful Carpi, a man who had walked and eaten beside her, fought beside her year over year, saying, "I really am sorry." And he stabs her. She says it again. She says that she'll kill him. Then she thinks about Ganmark, thinking about how
How
after he
gay he is. That's
how
right.
gay.
Mons is homophobic. That's the biggest plot twist of this entire book. Is that
She's like that damn cockmuncher. Uh,
no? She just is like,
no, but she remembers when he stabbed Bennett through the back, and then just says, "Well, that's that." After wiping his sword on Bennett's shirt, Prince Ario, stabbing Bennett's neck. She remembers. She's making herself remember each detail, every word said. Even Foskar, who says, "I'll have no part of this," but she says to herself, "That changed nothing. She'll kill them all." And then she thinks about Orso last. Orso, who she fought for, struggled for, killed for. Grand Duke Orso, Lord of Talons, who turned on them over a rumor, murdered her brother, left her broken for nothing, for fear that they'd steal his place. Which, this is a weird fear for him to have, right? Like, that kind of came out of nowhere. They were his generals. And
Oh, we don't know that.
shut up. Yeah, we don't know that. We don't know that. I'm sorry, George. I'm sorry. She remembers one of the things he said to her was, "What would I do without you?" Which is, callback to her poppies, Japo. And then 7 men. And she, pulls herself up and she tells herself she'll kill him, she'll kill him, she'll kill him. And it doesn't need to be said, really. She's done with the crying. So then we get another time jump. But before we do that, boys, do you want to talk about this part? Her remembrance of the ordeal, so to say.
I mean, I kind of already said my piece. This is, you get really into her psyche. It's really, really well written. Like, I feel like this whole scene is like a step up from like original trilogy, like in terms of like how like the literature side of things. It's just especially well written. It has a lot of context once you have more information and know all these characters better. Yeah, I mean that's all I have to say about it, really. Oh yeah. One last thought is that this particular scene is one of my worries when it comes to making a movie, because translating this mindset and understanding her as a person could be very easily lost if it's not done a proper way. So I'm a little worried for that. But
Okay, that's understandable. Yeah.
That's a big worry for all of Joe's films. Like, there's so much inner monologue that it'll be very, very difficult to capture.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely agree with you. Like, it's writing. You can see straight away in these last few chapters that we covered that Joe's writing has developed so much I think it was only a year before this one was released over the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we know that the original trilogy was written a while before it was published.
Yes.
So he had, a good few years to work on his, criticism and reception.
Mm-hmm.
And we see a lot of really good developments here, and I absolutely love that.
Well, thank you for that. So yeah, and then we continue on to this chapter, time jump, and then we see that some time has passed because she has made it to her childhood home.
Yeah, limped all the way there, just like, yeah.
Yep, and then she
It's
finds
like tap pain.
nice callback. So she sees the old house and like there's like a farmhouse and everything. Anyway, she's there for a shovel. She grabs a shovel and then she walks us to a certain location in the tree line, not far from their house, and she starts digging. And then she finally gets to, she digs for a while because she's not as strong as she was. She's digging primarily with her left hand, and she had to move a tree trunk over. But she finally gets to a point where the shovel hits wood, and so we realize that there was a trap door underneath this patch of dirt. So she, is able to get it open, works her way down pretty slow because she doesn't want to fall and break any more bones. And then she finds a shelf in the dark and there's like a flint in there too, and then she's able to light the lamp. So there's a lamp.
Who doesn't love a good hidden stash?
Love it, right?
Everybody loves a hidden stash.
Mm-hmm. So she turns on the lamp, and we could see that Benna had precautions in this cellar. That there's keys.
Probably means booby traps, right?
No, I thought so too, but it's like glittering along the metal edges of Benna's precautions, sitting safe. So not like these things are safe, so it has to be the keys and stuff. That's what I think, because that's the next thing that we talk about. Because booby traps aren't safe, right? So these are keys that are hanging from a row of rusted hooks. These are keys to empty buildings all across Styria. These are places to hide. There's a rack along the one wall with blades, long and short blades. There's a chest beside it, and there's clothes in there that folded, never been worn. They might not fit her body now, but you got to get new, fresh clothes, baby. She smells.
Gonna go on a bulk.
Yeah. She smells one of Benna's silk shirts. Okay. She sees her. She sees her. Right.
This doesn't have to be sexual, Jeffrey. Jesus.
Have you never smelled a family member? Come on, that's a thing.
Yeah.
I like that about all of this kind of back and forth between Monza and Benna, even though Benna's dead. Like, it's all very, very ambiguous. Like, there's never any actual. I don't know. It's very interesting the way that Joe goes forward with this relationship.
It is.
And we'll see more as we go on. I can't really say much right now, but
Right.
What?
Right. That's a soundbite that you need to say. That's what we really need that one.
Yeah. Well, okay. And she catches a glimpse of her right hand in the lamplight. She's like, oh no. So she finds some gloves. She throws away the left glove, but keeps the right one, puts it on her hand. She's like, fuck that. The little finger's still sticking out straight. Then she goes to the back of the cellar where there are 20 wooden boxes all stacked up. She goes to the nearest one and opens it, and it's Herman's gold. Looks like there really was gold after all. Like a bunch of coins. Funny enough that she has coins in her skull. She has coins in her hands now. Look at that. And then she's going to use these coins and some other stuff to be her weapons. And then she goes back to the wall of blades, and she grabs this one sword of workmanlike gray steel. It's a Calvez. There's no flourish, like no flourishes or anything like that. Nothing extravagant. It's just a good solid sword, right? And
absolutely.
It's
and
a
I like how there's like this mystical fucking sword maker that makes the best swords. That's got to be a Kill Bill reference, right? We know Joe Abercrombie loves Tarantino films.
I didn't think about that, but I bet you're totally right.
Yeah, it's Calvez, the best swordsmith, but I think he's referenced in like early.
No, he's referenced later. I think he's in the Heroes. He gets
No.
referenced again. In the first trilogy, really?
Blade itself, Gorst, talking about Gorst and his swords. They're heavy and they're made from Calvez, I think.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong. Maybe it is the Heroes, but I feel.
But I like how like it just kind of comes throughout the series that there's these mentions of this like mystical sword maker that makes the best swords.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that not a type of sword?
No.
No, I think like in the bait you have like a maker's mark.
Yeah.
So
okay.
you have something made in a certain way, but like the styles are going to vary so widely over different makers.
Yeah. So the best swordsman, swordsmith in Styria he's Calvez, and I think all his swords are called Calvez.
I see.
Yeah, he's the Hattori Hanzo of the First Law of the World.
Nice, love that. Yeah. And so she mentions that this was a gift to Benna from her, but then he had worn it for a week before swapping it for an overpriced sword, scrap metal with stupid gilt basket work, and it was the one that he was trying to draw when they killed him. But this is good steel. It bends and never breaks. It stays sharp and ready. Feels no pain, no pity, and above all, no remorse. She felt herself smile for the first time in months, and because she tells herself vengeance then. So this is the end of this chapter with that last line, and we see from her she's ready to go. She's got
wait a minute. That's not the last line. The last line is revenge is best served cold.
Whoa, you never said that.
I'm gonna kill Harrison. But yeah, so we see that Monza that's it. She's got the money. She's got her weapons. She's gonna start at least some kind of path of vengeance, which we'll see how it goes going forward. Boys, how do you rate this chapter?
How do you rate it, Jeffrey?
I'll give it a 7 and a knuckle out of 9. I like it. It's good. We got a lot of detail from just like her recovery with the Bone Thief. We don't know, Mr. Dr. Bone Thief, the senior. We see her recovery. We see the progression of her gaining back some kind of function in her limbs. And then, of course, she can't just stay around. She's got to escape. So she escapes. And then now she makes it. She swears vengeance after a little mishap during her piss break. And then, she goes back to her childhood home. We found out that her and Benna had dug like a cellar underground, which is a nice little, safe house in a way, like one of the best safe houses you could do. And there's gold, that Herman's gold is a real thing, even though it's like a rumor, a myth at this time, an urban legend, but it's real, and she has it, and she's gonna use it to gain her vengeance. We see the basically the mindset that Monza is singularly driven at this point. That's it. It's just vengeance. She's never gonna get Benna back. The least she could do is, in her mind, obtain some measure of justice for his death. Mm-hmm. But that's her version of justice.
So, I think I absolutely agree with you, Jeff. This is a fantastic chapter. I think I'll give it an 8.
Nice. You want to add anything?
Well, yeah, of course. Everything that you said, like character work, is just fantastic. Mm-hmm. The Bone Thief, Dr. Bone Man, Esquire, PhD, whatever.
Bartholomew.
Barnum! Oh my god, that's the Bone Thief.
Oh god, it's Barnum. It's actually Barnum. Yeah.
It's Barnum. And if she was saying Benna, he thought she was like laying in the ground saying Benna, and he was like Barnum. Oh, that's my name. If I would not have found you if you hadn't called. Anyway, sorry.
Continue.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic chapter. It just shows Monza's, as a setup chapter, where we're just trying to see the motivations for this new character was introduced but mentioned in the previous trilogy. Like, it's just this is the masterclass on how to introduce a character and make us care about them.
Mm-hmm.
And 8 out of 9.
Okay, Harrison.
8 and a knuckle.
Ooh.
Because I think this chapter it's almost like a perfect chapter for me. It's just like you guys already said. It introduces the character so well, and not just like they use the standard methods. Like it's just a revenge thing, I'm motivated, but it's executed so well that you already kind of invested about what's going to happen. I mean, a lot of people don't like Monza, but like the way this is written is like this is the reason why we on the Circle of the World podcast love her so much. It's because she's such an incredibly well written character from the beginning, and you don't even realize how well it is until you get to the end, and you're like, wow, that's exceptional.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, 8.5 for 8 and a knuckle.
Yeah. All right. Well, we like that. We like a sequential rating sometimes, right? Don't we? Okay, great. So let's move on to our next and final segment. This is our community interaction segment. We're gonna take some time to talk about not really us engaging with the online community, but more about the pitfalls of international shipping. Because we had a winner. We announced him, right, for the giveaway.
Yeah.
And we sent the book over to a place in Germany. Can't get more descriptive than that. But apparently, a certain Adeptus put the wrong address down.
I didn't. That's not. We don't even know what happened.
Sorry,
Fucking dirt.
I'm messing with you.
Who brought the book? So start. Lose my mind.
We all bought the book, Harrison.
Loses his mind.
Yeah,
apparently they sent the book back, right? Shipping company.
Yeah, well, I haven't gotten it back yet because it's gonna take like 2 weeks.
It took almost 3 weeks to ship it to him in the first place, right? It got to his local post office or whatever, and they were like, "Oh, this is slightly wrong. I'm gonna send it back." And that's so German, isn't it? It's like, "Oh, the number is missing from the the number is missing from the address. Send it back over the ocean."
And where's this from? America? I can tell by the fucking idiot's handwriting. Yeah,
they're probably like, "Oh,
probably from Oklahoma."
Yeah, they're probably like, "What? Some cowboy wrote this address?"
Anyway, so apologies to our winner, if you are listening, because it sucks. But
yeah, and like I said, I know we announced that we had a winner. I don't know if we announced their name. I don't know if we were given permission.
We didn't do. No, well, you don't want to dox anyone.
Right.
We don't want to give anybody's Instagram name or anything like that away.
What about the first name? Or is it too? Maybe it's too obvious because is it a common name?
Well, I think the name that they used was Nero.
Nero. That's it.
So Nero on Instagram. It was the winner, and Harrison you did invest a lot of money. It cost nearly $150 and all told to
buying
do
the book,
all that together.
Yeah. It was a good number. It was like 120.
Yeah. So when you get the book back, obviously you gotta let us know so we can obviously chip in again for the shipping. But yeah, so we're gonna go about a different carrier this time, and hopefully it gets delivered promptly. And
So if anybody has any recommendations about what works with international shipping,
from America to Germany specifically. If you have any
email us at circleoftheworld.com.
Please do. circleoftheworldpodcast@gmail.com.
That's the one.
circleoftheworldpodcast@gmail.com and hashtag help me.
Oh shit, that's funny. All right. Well, yeah. So that's our community interaction segment. That's a show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you know, this is a passion project for the three of us, and your support does mean a lot.
Join us next week as we cover Fish Out of Water and 6 and 1.
And make sure you follow us on all of our social media, and we have a website at circleoftheworld.com.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any podcast app that you use. And please make sure to rate and review this podcast. Thank you all again for listening.
What would I do without you?